we're on part 3 of making our fancy Bavarian tort. So yesterday we assembled the cake and the Jacquard sponge, which is still in the cake pan. And don't forget, we've got the acetate around the edge, and you can't see what the pretty cake looks like, but you will shortly. So now we're going to make the filling. I'm going to just put the cake there. I have 8 ounces of milk that is in a saucepan, and I'm going to bring that up to a hot temperature. It doesn't have to be boiling, just hot. And I have 4 ounces of white chocolate, chopped pretty fine. I have 2 ounces of egg yolks here, and you can see it is 4 eggs. So it's not 2 egg yolks, it's 2 ounces of egg yolks, and that's why you see we got smaller egg yolks and larger egg yolks, so they weighed out to be 2 ounces of egg yolks. I've also got 0.35 ounces of gelatin, which is about the same thing as a tablespoon if you don't have a scale for that kind of precise measurements. And I'm going to add to it 2.5 ounces of cold water, and I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. So that is 2 ounces. I'm just going to stir that into it, and this is called blooming the gelatin. It has to be cold water. And the gelatin is going to absorb the water and just get really thick. And then we need heat to dissolve the gelatin. So this is fun like this. You can see it's already starting to absorb the water. So that's just, we're going to ignore that. I also have 2 ounces of sugar, and I'm going to put that in with my egg yolks, and I can do that now because my milk is just about heated. And we'll whisk these two together. So when my milk gets hot, I'm going to temper the hot liquid into the eggs, and it is now hot. So I'm just going to slowly temper the hot milk into the egg yolks, and this will prevent the egg yolks from curdling and cooking. If I was to go the other way and add the egg yolks into that hot milk, then my eggs would just sort of cook immediately. So we'll do it this way instead. And this just gently raises the temperature of the egg yolks. So they're hot. I don't know what temperature they are, but they're hot. Good enough. And everything back into the saucepan. Make sure you get all those egg bits in there, because that's my thickening agent, as well as the gelatin. So you're making kind of a creme anglaise or an ice cream base. All right, now I'm going to go back on the heat, and you can see I'm no longer whisking. I switched over to the spatula. So I'm going to make sure to get into the edges of the pot. So it's already hot. I need to take it up to that 170-ish range. So I'm just going to cook this for a couple of minutes. I also have, as part of my mise en place, I have 4 ounces of heavy cream, and it's in my mixing bowl, and I just stuck it in the fridge. And I have pre-whipped it a little bit, at least started whipping it, just to save time on the video. Okay, so we're just going to constantly stir this. You can't stop stirring this because of the direct heat that the pot is on. If you walk away now without stirring, you're going to come back to a pot full of scrambled eggs. So it doesn't take long, but you must keep stirring. And I'm on about medium heat. Kind of depends on your stove. At school, you know, you have the commercial models with lots and lots of BTUs, so it really goes fast there. So you can look at this if you want to and tell when it's getting thicker, or we can use the infrared thermometer to get an idea of temperature. Very quietly so the dogs don't come running. So I'm at about 160 right now. Just a little bit. It doesn't look like it's thickened. Although I'm not looking for it to get like pudding, more like heavy cream. So it's just milk and sugar and egg yolks in here. So we'll give this just another couple of minutes until it gets, I can see it's getting a little bit silkier and thicker as we speak. And this way I know obviously I'm cooking the eggs, keeping them in a safe temperature. I think I like that. And we're at about 170. So I'm happy with that. I'm going to take it off the heat. Don't let it continue to cook. Okay. So now we'll bring it over here. And I'm going to first add the bloomed gelatin into this hot, just look at that, what a difference, right? It's really thick Jell-O. We'll just break that up. It's going to dissolve completely in that hot, oh, I knocked an egg over, so sorry. It's going to dissolve completely in the hot liquid. And once it's dissolved, then I'm going to pour it through the strainer over the white chocolate in order to melt that white chocolate. So this is just a white chocolate Bavarian cream. You can make a relatively plain one, vanilla Bavarian cream. You can flavor it any way you wanted to. If you wanted to add some raspberry puree or even some chocolate, the choice is yours. All right, so the hot custard is going over the chocolate to melt it. So this is still the easy part. Oh, I didn't tell you there was a hard part? No, there's no hard part. We'll get it all in there. And by straining it like this, you're also hiding any little bits of eggs that might have cooked in the pan. So that looks lovely. And then we're just going to whisk it, not to incorporate air, but just to get it nice and smooth so that the white chocolate is melted. And I feel like I don't have any vanilla in here. I need just a little bit of vanilla, even though the recipe doesn't call for it. But I still think it just needs just a little background flavor. Won't make a huge difference either way. You also might notice that there was only that 2 ounces of sugar in here, so you think, oh, it's not very sweet, except that white chocolate is very sweet. So that sort of takes the place of an awful lot of additional sugar. Okay, this is nice and smooth. Now, I need to get this cooled down a little bit so that I can fold in the whipped cream. Because if I tried to fold in the whipped cream right now, it would just completely deflate it. It's too hot. So I'm just going to put it on an ice bath for a few minutes. So Bavarian is characterized by having a lot of gelatin. And as you saw, that is a lot of gelatin that went into this mixture. We still have to add in our 4 ounces of heavy cream, but other than that, that's got a lot of gelatin. And that's part of the idea behind these Bavarians, is that they can sit on a buffet table, a dessert buffet table, for hours and not sort of melt, if you will. So that gelatin really, really stabilizes the mixture. If you didn't have that much, or if you just put out a bowl of whipped cream on your dessert table, within a couple of hours, I'm sure the whipped cream would become soft and sort of revert back to a liquid stage. But with this amount of gelatin in it, it's not going to do that. Now, I could feel, most definitely, that the bottom of the bowl, I can feel this custard starting to solidify, and it's because it's sitting on ice water. So the gelatin is activated by cold. Doesn't require any heating necessarily. So I'm going to get this to about like room temperature, I think. Get my handy dandy little infrared thermometer. It's about 93 degrees. So I want it to come down like in the 80s. I'll be happy with that. But I can't really, and you can tell it's going pretty quickly. I don't want to leave it here for too long, or else the stuff that's on the bottom of the bowl is going to solidify, and the stuff that's on the top is not. 88, 87, 86. All right, I'm probably ready. So if I felt it, with my hand, it's less than body temperature, so it's going to feel a little bit cool, even though it is saying like 85 degrees. So I'm just whisking it to keep it smooth, even out the temperatures. We are done with the ice bath. I'm going to get my heavy cream out of the fridge and whip that up. this a little more. Okay. So I sort of pre-whipped it before just to save time. And so it's about medium peak. It's definitely thicker. It's not stiff peaks. If it's stiff peaks, you're going to have a hard time folding it into the custard mix. I'm happy with that, I think. And if you remember, I'm going to give this a stir too. If you remember, we did the chocolate mousse last week and just poured it into a ring and froze it. So this is the chocolate mousse. And it is frozen. I had it on a piece of parchment paper. So this is going to go in the middle of our fancy Bavarian torte. You don't have to do it, but it tastes really good, so I'm doing it. Okay, so I think I'm about ready. So just remember, the gelatin is in here. Cold whipped cream. So we're hoping that it sort of starts to set a little bit. It gets thicker so that we can pour some into the cake pan and put that chocolate mousse disc on top, and then we're going to cover it up with the remaining custard. Bavarian mix, I shouldn't say custard, even though this is a custard. Spatula, big spatula for folding. So we will do the very first. I always like to add things, I guess, in thirds. So we'll add a little bit, about a third of it. Fold that in. So now you're also getting your custard mixture cold because of the cold from the whipped cream. So if I start to see some lumps forming, meaning that the gelatin is getting activated, I might want to whisk it and break it down a little bit. You don't want to have a lumpy Bavarian. Now, of course, you could also flavor this if I had that raspberry dessert compound, or you could add some coffee flavoring. You could add any kind of flavoring. This is just a white chocolate, pretty neutral Bavarian filling. This is not the same Bavarian filling that you find in donuts. Completely different. All right. So it's a little bit of the temperature game. I want it to get cold enough so that it thickens a little more, and I don't lose the aeration that the whipped cream is providing. So I could probably leave this for like 5 or 10 minutes. Where's my infrared? And it would thicken up. Right now it's about 62. So gelatin, of course, thickens in the fridge, but that would be about 40 degrees. So I think I'm going to go with this, just for purposes of demonstration and not being on my video for like another hour. So here's my cake. I am going to pour some of it just to kind of fill in the bottom. I'm going to take my chocolate mousse disc and place that in here as well. And now I'm just going to cover the whole thing up with the Bavarian filling. Oh, yum. Oh, yum. Oh, yum. More, more, more. Okay. So we'll just level it off. I don't know if you can see, but there's still a good ½ an inch of acetate. So I haven't come all the way up to the top of the acetate. And that's a good thing because through the magic of television or whatever, I'm going to go ahead and get this into the fridge, the freezer, so that it sets up. And then the last step is I'm going to take a gelée, which in this case it's going to be a mango gelée, but you could do a raspberry gelée. You could do any kind of a fruit gelée. It's just the puree of the fruit with a little bit of sugar, a little bit of water, and again, a lot of gelatin. And it becomes like we're going to make like a raspberry or a mango jello almost, but the real stuff, not the stuff in the box. So I'm going to let this set up because if I tried to pour the gelée on it right now, it would probably sink down into the custard. So yeah, so I'll be back in a few minutes with my mango gelée, and then we'll be able to depan it, and you're going to get to see this magnificent creation. It's a beautiful cake. Okay, so I'll be back in a few. We're back. All right, so I had it in the freezer for about 15 minutes. That's all you need, just so that it sets up. That's all. So it's not liquidy anymore. It hasn't completely set up, but it's good enough for my purposes. I have mango gelée that I made previously, and I just put it into a container, and it becomes like a really, really strong, thickened mango jello, basically. So I just scooped some out, put it into a dish, put it into the microwave, and melted it so that it's just liquidy again. That's all. So I'm going to pour this over the top. It's a beautiful color, nice and vibrant. And spread it out to the edge. You could probably just give it a little shake. And now I'm going to pop it back into the freezer. And we'll come back when it is completely frozen. So an hour, 2 hours, whatever. And then we'll have the big reveal of what a beautiful cake you've just made. I'll be back. And here we are, back again. This is our final cake. I know the lighting is not great, but we will put. Here's our cake. It came out of the cake pan really easily because we have parchment on the bottom and we have the acetate, so very easy to take out. You know, the lighting's not the best here, but I'm going to put it up on the turntable so that I can get a little bit better look. And then the acetate can come off. And you can see our beautiful cake. Maybe I have to move it even further underneath. You get to see my knives collection and all the pretty colors. And then we've got the Bavarian filling. And we've got this gorgeous mango gelée on top. So we can decorate a little bit if we want to. Either in the center or off on the side. I think I'll go off on the side and make it a beautiful little spring cake. Kind of complementary colors to our Gicond sponge. And just a couple little flowers here. Also be really nice if you put edible flowers on top. Wouldn't that be special? I don't have any, so we're not going to do that. I also made these delightful little white chocolate little spheres, so I can get real fancy with that if I wanted to. I don't think I'm going to try. I know that I'm not really attaching them. But again, kind of got the complementary colors, and they bounce. No. A little green, a little pink. And sort of set it in. So basically that mango gelée is turned into mango jello. All right, and that is our absolutely stunning Bavarian torte. Not that difficult to make. And you're not going to see me cut into it because I'm going to have it tonight for dessert. Ha! So enjoy making a Bavarian cake. Beautiful, just beautiful.